Good morning, and this is the crypto day morning, and today's date is coming in that of the 13th of December 2018. My name is Derek. All bet trades of the like within one's own risk rewards. I'd like to welcome you to the channel. And since this leg lower, correctionary mode 1 of the 18 occurred here, we're in correctionary mode number 2. And this level of support obviously has now been that of resistance. And this day in here, like 4 days ago, is a day when it said, oh, we're starting to come down, breaking this level of support. Hasn't happened, but it also hasn't done anything to break the resistance of this point here, because the next target area to me would be the 18 average of highs, but it isn't even attempted to even attempt such, meaning it hasn't managed to get above it. And when we take a look at this on a more shorter term time frame, the market is relatively neutral and getting very symmetrical. We got this low, we got this low, and symmetrical means making pattern of higher lows and lower highs. And I mean lower highs, just like the daily term time frame was throughout the entire year, also noticeable as well. So I'm going to be looking for an interesting move coming soon that's going to break this indecision to one side or the other. And among such, if you have a break to the upside, there's all of these empty spaces. There's going to be short-term Fibonacci from this low to the 6,200 and change breakout. There's going to be previous resistance here. This would come in at around a 38.2, but a lot of this empty space in which it is going to need to attempt to do what it needs to make that of a more longer term bottom. For now though, the down move has just short term stalled at this stage, and if it breaks the key level of support, then I'll be looking for a move that should pierce below the $3,000 handle as its next leg lower. And in that leg lower, I am more confident on the longer term time frame that it could have a very good bounce moving forward from that level. Moving on to some altcoins. And first off would be QTUM, ticker symbol QTUM. And on this day here, December the 11th, having a nice move from the 18 below the 18 average of lows, getting above the highs and just closing within the band. So it's very important when you have a move, when you're in a bear market and you have a noticeable break above the 18 highs, to stay within it. And it did so on yesterday's session, and it has now since had a very beautiful breakout. Looking at this on a shorter term time frame, there's your downtrend, market sideways, there's establishing resistance, nice little correctionary move back to the band where it came from, and then breaking this layer of resistance. It was just basically lights out, or, oh, I'm ready to go. Let's have a decent move, and it's nothing majorly spectacular. It's standard, going from about 4 3/4 up to about 600, a differential of 125 on 475. So that's about a 20% move. That's like, yeah, that's okay. And 15-minute time frame, we can see, just again, this is common with all of these codes. You have these little periods that look like this, not as much volatility, then the higher volume comes in, and the story on such is easy to read. You have a nice little breakout, correctionary move is successful, a very successful leg higher, because when you talk about markets up too much, well, you know what, around here it was up too much, or starting to get too high from this leg higher. And then it was here, and it's up too much until it's not. And obviously this is when it tops, so now it was no longer up too much in here, rather correctionary phase, and that status of correctionary phase from leg 2 higher still remains into play. Just in here, it had a move breaking out above the 18 average of highs. That could get some traders into this market, and if I were to be one betting above this and that type of strategy, I most certainly need to see weakness in the 18, or basically maybe put a stop below this line in here at around 536. If I were to go long here at 5, say 67, which would have been buying at the top, because that's some of the things I've noticed or talk about. Okay, you have this correctionary move. If you're seeing successful correction within such, and as it was trading from this good red candle down for about 5 periods, it was showing that it was doing successful moves. So breaking out above this is something that would, I don't trade this way or bet this way, but this would be one way I would think, hey, this might be the effective way. And then you either stop it here at like 545 or you stop it at 536. Obviously, if you stop it here, you could very easily make this higher low and matching low and still go higher, which is just part of the risk reward where you can get stopped out on a winning play within this game. No Limit Coin 2 is something I played very nicely in 2017 and is down significantly ever since. And its current price is 172 Satoshi. I got into this around 2000 last year, and I did well as it rose up all the way to 10,000 and change. It was fun to arbitrage this, and now I recently got back into this and got a small sell order. Now, like Qtum, I'm trading this not against Bitcoin but against Litecoin, as I have allocated many different altcoins towards such, and I've sold both of those coins through the night, at least portions of what I own, playing that exchange at much, well, not much, but playing it at higher volatility than I would against Bitcoin, about 30% extra volatility. But within the move that we can see in here, decent size volume, and when you got a 4-hour chart looking like this, then that just tells you that there's not much volume towards such, but only price pays. So in situations here where the price goes up to 177, if you had sell orders at, like, say around that, anywhere of that number or lower, you could get them hit, and then it comes back to 152. So there's definitely profits that can be made within this way. And now when you have a move like this, I'm always looking for things like, okay, where's a key area where it came from? Easy, right around here. I mean, a 5-year-old, not a 5-year-old, a grade 5 or a 12-year-old can figure out that that was where the upper resistance was. That would also coincide with this newly rising 18. So we can see it's had this high, it's starting to pull back. This is that key area in which it needs to hold, and in proper bullish moves, if this is a real move, it's not uncommon for you to have a move like this quickly thereafter on high volatility and high volume, well, definitely higher volatility, come back to this 18 average, or not the 18, yeah, 18 average, yes, but come back to this area where it came from in the proximity, hold and stay above the 18 average of lows, meaning it can just shoot right back down to this previous support market 144. But if within the next this is 4-hour time frame, within the next many hours, if it comes back and into that area, then it didn't hold and stay below where you want to, but you want to see some sort of nice correctionary move on the shorter term time frames like this, and as you see momentum building higher, then you realize that the potential this has to fill some of this empty space, going to the 200s into the 300s and so on. As this chart only goes back to July of last year, this is when it was like 1,000 again. The July before that, it was over 10,000. And this coin here is, you can use these coins to play poker with, you can use them to bet on fantasy. They are actually a real currency that is used amongst their platform that they have. So Johnny Chan was sponsoring this last year during the World Series. He's a professional poker player. He's been on the circuit for quite some time. And that is No Limit Coin 2. Swarm City token is next, and it's got some interesting volatility, but when you have a situation like this where you go from 3,400 to 11,000, that's better than a 3x move, and then you pull all the way back to the 18. It's probably the type of volatility that people are looking for, movements like this, if you're seeking for larger amounts. But even within just the last few days in here, I've been able to get in and pick away up and down at some decent size movements within this market, because as we look at this on the single hour time frame, just within this correctionary move itself, which is always going to be much lower in volatility than the move that preceded it, although it was a very good move. When you have spots where you can have a low here at 38, move up to 55, then come back to 4,000, rally up to 53, and then come back down to 44. rally up again to 55, come back down to 48. So there's lots of volatility to be able to pick away, if you're able to, at the high peaks and the low sell-offs. As far as technical analysis on this market is concerned, looking at this particular time frame, this move in here, which is only the correctionary move of course, this play in here, has been successful thus far, because you have it, you come back, hold the 18. It didn't hold and stay below the 18 average of lows. It had this point, stayed there for 3 periods, shot up above it. And now we've seen the support within such be so magnificent thus far. But it's also, this is now at a ascending triangle. Ascending triangle is matching resistance highs and higher lows. So we have this low at the December 11th one. Later in December the 11th, we have the low. And then throughout the morning of December the 12th, and then this early morning right now of today's session has been making those lows. And even though they're never ever matching, a high in this general area for the this point, and this point is between the ranges of 54 and it's like the 55, 56 mark. So it's going to have to break it to one degree or another. It's not yet at that critical point that I talk about, because the market could very easily still do something like this, where maybe it comes down to the 18 lows, has another move here, and then by the time that this would get back in here, it could have this higher low completed, it could have another matching high and have another higher low. But whenever you have a pattern of such, a symmetrical triangle, an ascending triangle, a descending triangle, it's just a matter of time before, in this case, what would be the support line of uptrend line and a horizontal line would connect with each other, which brings it to a point that I called back in the day a D day for decision day. And I make up whatever names learning myself. I just never made a name for what they call in the wicks, and it's just like a nice little line higher. In fact, I learned how to play backgammon for so many years just on the computer and with the backgammon board at home. Basically, a lot of times just playing by myself. It's one game that's actually better to do that than to play against a lot of the computer AIs, because some of them are so bad. But a lot of the names and references are names I made myself because I didn't read any books on how to play. And I've read a few of the trading books, but I have developed, of course, my strategy for just do, as I show, just have the orders come in and understand resistance. For example, just one little thing is, okay, we know how big this point is. So if it breaks this resistance, we're probably going to at least go to where? Okay, probably even up towards here at minimum. So what this tells me is, if this thing breaks above the 54, 55, I don't want to be selling at 5,500, 56, 57, 58. I'll start thinking about selling at the 59s. So those are the types of things that I look at for key levels. Those are just good buy spot, good places to have buy and sell orders. Hence, of course, why I am buying the TUSD, or selling the TUSD, or buying Bitcoin back for dollars at around the 3,000 number, or 33,333 on the TUSD. Let's bring that TUSD up a bit right now. And it's really a vehicle, a trading vehicle for that of US currency. So it resembles what the US dollar does, and it's been doing a very good job ever since it came out. But the quote-unquote real US dollar does its job in trying to represent that of money. Literally. As it's like a certificate, the dollars. It's like, okay, this is good for what? Because if you ask me what a dollar looks like, I would have no idea. Sometimes, or back in the day, it used to be more common to get gift certificates on a piece of paper or cardboard. And it would say, like, maybe you might get something, it would say usually in dollar terms, but maybe you get something like one free haircut or just a particular item. That piece of paper, in its sense, or cardboard, was pretty much useless as far as its raw material, but the validity and certification of it had it so that you could get, like, maybe a haircut out of it, or a slice of pizza, or something of that value. So a dollar is a value of what? Well, it used to, of course, be traded into that of gold and silver. So to me, again, a US dollar just pretends to be that of money. But within this market here on the daily chart, we can see in here that you have the pattern of what? Well, we were, of course, in this sideways range when Bitcoin was a little over 6,000. There's your breakout in here. Small consolidation, close to the 18, or pretty much right at the 18 lows. Amazing leg higher with good volatility. And when I say amazing, of course, for amazing from this perspective. And then periods here where it corrected successfully within the 18, resisting the 18 highs. Then it had a leg higher, albeit a small one, and now has been supporting such. It's getting to the point where, okay, do your next thing. You're either going to have to break resistance and hit the target level. I got set at 33 and change. Or come back and have a support test of the 18 average of lows or this previous level of resistance. Okay, so that is the opposite of Bitcoin. And it's, again, a trading vehicle if you want to try to bet Bitcoin or other currencies against the dollar. This is something that can be used. And there's other ones out there. There's a Tether, there's a stable coin, USDC. There's a whole bunch of different ones that are available. I'm waiting, and I'm still surprised it hasn't came as of yet, that there's not like a coin that tries to pretend to be that of definitely gold, but even possibly silver. Because if there's situations where maybe I want to get out of cryptos, but I don't want to be in the dollar, that's why having a gold-backed cryptocurrency would work. And if you think about it, at least I've thought about it with silver. If I had a whole bunch of silver, and you need a lot to do this to have it on the market, where you can have it set like on a store. If you're like a big bullion dealer or any type of large spot, that they could put coins out there, and you can use, like, say if you want to buy 100 ounces of silver, might even be the minimum order, you might have to pay like 102 or 103 of your coins to get it. And it would be set up maybe in a website so that you can have your coins and you can literally just buy and sell gold and silver, or buy rather gold and silver that way. But the market price would always reflect that of what gold and silver would be when traded on all of the exchanges. So I'm really surprised that there hasn't been a real gold a code trading vehicle available. There's like the gold coins and stuff like that, but it's the idea, of course, is the Bitcoin to gold ratio to be played out, of course, on the market. Thank you for tuning in, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.